Chapter 8:15. Has your intelligence reached the average level? Xiangyi? Question mark. An indifferent male voice entered her ears. This is the sound of a photon cannon. Don't you know to stay in the shelter? Xiangyi was stunned for a moment before she reacted. Wasn't that part of Star City's defensive firepower? Was it used to counterattack when the enemy attacked? Fu Zichuan seemed to have guessed what she was thinking. The enemy might not be outside the city. Xiangyi understood. Internal strife? Seems like you're not hopelessly stupid. Fu Zichuan was expressionless. Thank you, I'll go to the shelter now. However, her collar was grabbed again. She didn't know how strong the other party was, but Xiangyi couldn't break free from him and couldn't move an inch. Can you find it? Xiangyi was about to say that she could just follow the direction of the crowd, but Fu Zichuan didn't give her time to explain and directly threw her into the air. Xiangyi! Exclamation point. The expected fall didn't happen. A pair of powerful mechanical arms caught Xiangyi steadily. Xiaobai, bring her home. Okay, master. Xiangyi turned her face and realized that what caught her was a mecha? Did the generation mecha also have self-awareness? However, upon closer inspection, she realized that it was actually a combat robot wearing a mecha. Missy, sit tight. Xiaobai used its other arm to touch Xiangyi's head. The cold and hard alloy material had a special touch. Before Xiangyi could reject Fu Zichuan, Xiaobai had already carried her with one hand and strode towards the Fu family. Xiangyi's hair was messed up by the wind after it ran. Her head was about to fall off. Star City, Central District. This place was still harmonious and stable. The fountain was opened regularly, and the gardener was methodically building the flower branches. It was as if no matter how cruel the war was, there wouldn't be any changes here. Xiaobai slowed down and tilted its head to size up Xiangyi. The girl's hair was messed up by the wind, and she looked slightly disheveled. There were also a few red marks on her cheeks. Weren't humans as strong as master? Why was this little guy so weak? Xiangyi's expression didn't change, mainly because she knew that she couldn't beat her opponent with her bare hands. She calmly took out a hairband and tied her hair into a bun. The hairband was furry and had two small bunny ears. It was a small gift that a female customer had forced on her. Little White's yellow mechanical eyes lit up. Xiangyi asked with uncertainty. Do you want it too? Xiaobai nodded vigorously. Yes, yes. He even deliberately turned off the mech's head device, revealing his face that could be considered handsome among the robots. Xiangyi gestured, not knowing where to start. The robot, it doesn't have any hair. After thinking for a few seconds, Xiangyi said gently, Can I tie it on my hand? Xiaobai, okay. It stretched out its arm, and Xiangyi put the hairband on it. Xiaobai said happily, Thank you, Miss Yi. Ah, we're here. It stopped, and what came into view was a beautiful villa. A young girl in a pink tea dress was drinking afternoon tea in the courtyard. Seeing that Xiaobai had actually carried a woman back, she put down her cup angrily. Hey, what's your relationship with my brother? Let me tell you, my brother won't get married casually. My sister-in-law has to be at least as beautiful as the princess of the empire. Here are 5 million star coins. Be sensible and leave my brother. Chapter 8:16. Xiangyi. She coughed lightly. Miss, you misunderstood. What misunderstanding? My brother has never had any relationships with the opposite sex since he was young. How could he have contact with girls? Did you use some scheme? Fu Yunhua stared at Xiangyi warily. You're not sent by the Zergs to seduce my brother, are you? However, not only did this young lady look familiar, but she was also quite good-looking. Fu Yunhua couldn't be said to be obsessed with looks. She was a good-looking person. She had two hobbies in her life, delicious food and beautiful women. She usually watched live streams to pass the time when she was bored. When she saw good-looking streamers or delicious food, she would reward them crazily. Xiangyi jumped down from Little White's arm and said uncertainly, I'm considered to be here to seek refuge. Huh. Fu Yunhua looked at her in confusion. Little White hurriedly explained. TSK, so you're an idiot who even found a refuge. Fu Yunhua put her hands on her waist. She had been beaten down by her brother since she was young. Today she could finally beat someone else. How satisfying was that? All right then, I'll reluctantly let you accompany me for afternoon tea. Xiangyi. Thank you, it's my honor. Since she was here, she might as well take things as they came. Anyway, she couldn't beat her. She could only comfort herself like this. Fu Yunhua flipped her hair and was a little happy. Because of Fu Zichuan's special identity, she didn't have many friends. This was the first time someone had afternoon tea with her. This is the special black tea from Planet Anthera. This is the dessert made by a 5-star chef in the Alliance. Humph, don't cry because it's so delicious. Fu Yunhua sounded like a proud young lady, but there was anticipation in her eyes. Eat it. Cry for me. Be shocked by this perfect combination. Tremble. Cry. Xiangyi used a small fork and tasted the dessert first, then paired it with a sip of black tea. She reacted calmly and praised out of politeness. It's delicious. Fu Yunhua, who was looking forward to her crying, was dumbfounded. That's it. That's it? It was the first time she had eaten such a combination. It was so delicious that she cried. This woman, how did she do it? She was actually indifferent? Hey, don't you think it's delicious? Or have you eaten better food before, so you feel that these are mediocre? Fu Yunhua questioned. Xiangyi looked at her innocently. Sorry, everyone's taste is different. I don't like things that are too sweet. I don't usually put so much sugar in my desserts, so I might feel differently from you. Fu Yunyue's eyes lit up. You know how to make desserts? Xiangyi, a little. Then make one of your favorite dishes for me to try. Before she could finish her sentence, Fu Yunhua pushed her into the kitchen. Our kitchen has everything from primitive kitchenware to molecular kitchenware machines to the latest models. Xiangyi. This pair of siblings, their innate ability was to interrupt other people's conversation, right? She sighed. Oh right, are you going to live stream? Fu Yunhua asked. I have an account, and I have over 20,000 fans. I can lend it to you and give you all the star coins I earn. Actually, Fu Yunhua wanted to give Xiangyi a reward in disguise. You have to pay for your food. That's a matter of course. Isn't there a civil war now? You can live stream? The sanctuary also has interplanetary networks, okay? Which backward planet did you come from? Don't you know this common knowledge? Chapter 8:17. Xiangyi. I see. She didn't explain anything, but Fu Yunhua had already imagined her pitiful background. For example, she had grown up on a barren planet, she couldn't even afford nutrient solutions, and could only roast insects for a living. She hadn't received 12 years of compulsory education, so she didn't even know what the interplanetary network was. The more she looked at it, the more she wanted to transfer money to Xiangyi. #me a rich woman. How can I transfer money to my beautiful sister? Waiting online, it's urgent. Xiangyi didn't know that Fu Yunhua was already thinking about how to transfer money as her attention was focused on the layout of the kitchen. The Fu family's kitchen couldn't be described with the word grand. It was no exaggeration to say that it was every chef's dream. Even Xiangyi was a little shocked. However, she returned to normal in an instant and chose a few ordinary but handy kitchen utensils. Thinking of the contract with Empire Livestream, Xiangyi took out the livestream equipment from her bag. It was a camera ball the size of a fingernail. After it was activated, it floated into the air and automatically adjusted its position. Xiangyi gave the camera ball an order not to film her face. Then she logged into the livestream software. This time, behind the two words tutu, there was a conspicuous Empire Livestream host logo. Seeing this scene, Fu Yunhua stuttered. Tutu Bunny. You're actually the same person. Xiangyi was curious. Have you watched my live stream? Fu Yunhua. She hadn't just watched it. She was Yin Zhongyua. Fu Yunhua was about to expose her identity when she suddenly remembered her attitude towards Xiangyi in the beginning. Her expression suddenly became very subtle. Ahem, I guess I've watched it. I don't know how to cook, so I won't disturb you. As soon as she finished speaking, she disappeared without a trace. Xiangyi didn't think much of it and opened the live stream. After a simple greeting, she lowered her head and began to focus on making desserts. Almost as soon as she opened the live stream, Empire Livestream began to recommend Xiangyi, and countless viewers instantly flooded in. Oh my god, it's Tutu's live stream. Tutu is finally streaming again. I've watched the video from last time dozens of times. Today, I saw a video of braised food and barbecued meat taken by a passerby. I heard that the person cooking is also Tutu. Is that true? The live broadcast room was bustling with noise and excitement, especially the netizens from Star City. There was no other reason other than it was too boring in the fallout shelter. Everyone was watching the live broadcast to kill time. As for the internal strife, they would fight every once in a while anyway, so they were already used to it. It just so happened that the office workers could openly slack off in the fallout shelter, and the students could justifiably not do their homework. In the courtyard of the Fu family, Fu Yunhua frowned. What should I do? What should I do? How can I treat Tutu so badly? Little White shook its feet. The system it was equipped with was all for combat. Fu Zichuan didn't install much of a daily chat template for it. Simply put, it was the steel straightener of robots. Apologize to her? How could I possibly lower my head and apologize to someone? Then should we pretend that nothing happened? How can we do that? I hurt Tutu. Fu Yunhua sobbed twice and suddenly thought of something. Why don't I compensate her with my brother? Little White. No, she can't take a beating. If Master punches her, she'll probably vomit blood. Chapter 8:18. Fu Yunhua was confused. Why did my brother hit her? Xiao Bai suddenly came to a realization. I get it. He wants Miss Yi to hit Master? Immediately afterward, it was puzzled. But with her thin arms and legs, if she punches Master, her arms will probably break. The corners of Fu Yunhua's mouth twitched. Forget it, you don't understand. So why am I chatting with this steel robot? Fu Yunhua lay on the table as the light shone through the lush branches and leaves, sprinkling fine fragments of light. She watched Xiangyi's live stream and couldn't help but swallow her saliva. The desserts that Xiangyi made today were mango pancetta, strawberry snow lady, and mango dew. Every time she made a dessert, Xiangyi would explain the steps in detail. Her explanation was clear and easy to understand, and she would also give the exact dosage. The audience was eager to try, and some even put it into practice. But soon, various scenes of failure appeared. Brain, I know. Hand, you know nothing. I think it's very simple. Why did I fail at the first step of beating the eggs? Oh my god. My batter has turned into charcoal. My mother said that I'm cooking dark cuisine and she's going to kick me out of the house cack. Some people also felt that Xiangyi had touched their cake. For example, the Chefs Association of the Alliance. There were very few delicacies in the interstellar era. Firstly, it was the promotion of nutrient solutions, and secondly, it was the secret operations of the Chefs Association. First, it was to raise the bar for chefs, so that the public would subtly think that cooking was a skill that could only be mastered by professionals, and that ordinary people couldn't learn it at all. Secondly, it was to strictly restrict the circulation of recipes. Ordinary people couldn't come into contact with ingredients and cooking techniques at all. Even if they searched for it, they wouldn't be able to find it on the interstellar network. The most ruthless move was that if a person cooked at home, they would have to pay a so-called pollution fee. This fee was not cheap. Hence, gradually, the public realized that the food they cooked was not delicious and the cost was high. They might as well drink nutrient solutions or go to restaurants outside to eat. The Chefs Association also rose in status because of this, and they gained supreme honor and status. But now, everything that Xiangyi was doing was challenging the existing rules. How could she just tell him the recipe so casually? If everyone learned how to cook, how could the Chefs Association make profits? As a result, a large number of fake reviewers flooded into Xiangyi's live broadcast room and accused Xiangyi of something she didn't do. How can a girl who grew up in the slums have such amazing culinary skills? One look and I can tell that he stole it. Stealing is equivalent to plagiarism. Unforgivable. How despicable. It is recommended that Xiangyi be exiled to the original Sin planet immediately. Have you guys heard? She knew how to cook because she had stolen the life work of a 5-star chef. It's worse than stealing children. The atmosphere in the live broadcast room instantly turned foul. The Chefs Association was complacent. She was just a new streamer. How could they not teach her a lesson? But to Fu Yunhua, this was simply coming to life. She, who had nothing but money, crazily sent Xiangyi gifts. He had single-handedly suppressed all the comments. On this day, news of Cloud Moon's terrifying wealth and hand speed spread throughout the interplanetary network, and everyone knew about it. Okay, it's done. I'll turn off the live broadcast then. Xiangyi didn't even look at the comments and directly turned off the live broadcast. She went out with the desserts and found Fu Yunhua waiting at the door, clenching her fists tightly. 10 million star coins, please be with my brother. Please. Chapter 819. Xiangyi was speechless. Sister, you were the one who said, leave my brother for 5 million star coins, right? Why did you change your mind so quickly? Ms. Fu, stop joking, Xiangyi said helplessly. Let's try the dessert first. Oh, okay. In the courtyard, Xiangyi placed the tray on the table, and Fu Yunhua sat down eagerly. Although she had already tried a lot of desserts through the shared 5 senses during the live stream. However, how could virtual data be as delicious as real food? Fu Yunhua picked up a small fork and cut a piece of mango pancake. The yellow pancake skin was wrapped in white cream and fresh mango. It was embellished with green mint leaves, outlining beautiful colors. When it entered her mouth, the sweet taste of mango, smooth cream, and thin pancake skin formed layers of soft and sticky texture. Delicious. Fu Yunua's eyes lit up. She finished the mango pancake in a few bites and threw away the fork. She picked up a strawberry and bit off half of it. The first bite was the Snow Empress's QQ popsicle skin. It was white and soft, with a whole strawberry and cream in the middle. At this moment, sourness and sweetness reached a perfect balance. This is delicious too. Fu Yunhua picked up the small bowl of mango dew and gulped it down. The cooked sago mixed with mango pieces, coconut juice, milk and finally grapefruit. It tasted sweet and refreshing, completely conquering Fu Yunua's taste buds. Sob, it's too delicious. Fu Yunhua sobbed and couldn't stop eating. In just a few minutes, she finished the desserts prepared by Xiangyi for 2 people. Xiangyi asked considerately, there are a few more in the fridge. Do you want to eat? Fu Yunhua let out a small burp. With a wail, she actually burst into tears. Xiangyi was stunned. Little Bai was also stunned. The woman and the machine looked at Fu Yunhua in a daze. Fu Yunhua sobbed. It's really too delicious. I've never eaten such delicious desserts. So that was how it was. Xiangyi said warmly, if you like it, I'll write down the recipe for you. If you want to eat it later, you can ask the chef to make it for you, or you can try cooking it yourself. But isn't it very difficult to cook? Fu Yunhua asked in confusion. She had been taught this way of thinking since she was young, and she couldn't change it for the time being. Xiangyi said, it's not difficult if you like him. Only then did Fu Yunhua realize that she had finished all the desserts on the table. She scratched her head and asked carefully, well, are you really not interested in my brother? Although he's a little ugly, a little fierce, and a little cold, he's super good at beating up Zerg beasts. He can even earn a lot of money back. Of course, she didn't want Xiangyi to be her sister-in-law because of food. Absolutely not. Xiangyi replied seriously. I have someone I like. Huh? Is he also from Star City? Thinking of Shui, Xiangyi was absent-minded for a moment. He's somewhere very far away. But in the blink of an eye, the girl regained her determination. He's waiting for me to come home. Fu Yunhua muttered in her heart. A long-distance relationship. Then her brother might still have a chance. At the door, a figure stained with blood stopped in his tracks. On the interplanetary network, no matter how the people of the Chefs Association tried to smear her, the recipes of the desserts made by Xiangyi still spread at an unstoppable speed. It swept the entire network. After trying, many people found that making delicious desserts was actually so easy. Chapter 820. The thing that the Chefs Association was most worried about had happened. The voices of doubt were like rolling snowballs, accumulating to the point where they could cover the sky and earth. The Chefs Association held an emergency meeting to discuss how to turn the situation around. If they couldn't solve the problem, they would first solve the source of the problem. Tutu, the streamer. After this live broadcast, the number of fans on this account had increased by another wave. If she continued to develop like this, the consequences would be unimaginable. At the door, Fu Zichuan was full of vigor. When he heard the conversation between the two of them, he stopped in his tracks. Someone she liked? For some reason, he was a little curious. What kind of man would this girl like? Brother, why are you back? Fu Yingyue saw him, and was more frightened than surprised. There's no food in the fridge. There's really nothing. The moment she opened her mouth, she was already a self-deceiver. Fu Zichuan's mouth twitched in the face of his sister's stupidity. Fu Yingyue coughed. Brother, are you alright? Why are you covered in blood? The little girl's eyes were filled with anxiety. She lifted her skirt and rushed in front of him, wanting to check his injuries. Fu Zichuan moved a step to the side without a trace. Don't worry, it's not my blood. I'll go wash it first. His gaze fell on Xiangyi. He nodded slightly in greeting, and the latter returned a polite smile. After Fu Zichuan took care of himself, he saw two girls in the courtyard through the window. They were chattering and ordering Xiaobai to make a hammock. Xiaobai was a combat robot. At some point, it had put on a rabbit ear headband that was the same as the two girls, and a red bow was tied around its neck. He couldn't bear to look at it. Fu Zichuan held his forehead and sighed. He strode into the courtyard. Brother. Fu Yingyue saw him come out and chuckled. Brother, you have another headband. Fu Zichuan was expressionless. I don't wear such childish things. Tutu taught me to make this. Don't you think it's cute? Fu Zichuan was in a daze for a moment. There were two rabbit ears on his head. However, the two girls' ears were white powder, and his was gray powder. Fu Yingyue didn't expect that she would really succeed. While she was shocked, she quickly took many photos secretly. However, as she took photos, she realized her big brother had been staring at Tutu. Oh, there was a situation. Fu Yingyue rubbed her small hands excitedly. Big brother, let's go. Quickly get Bunny in your hands. Xiangyi lowered her head and replied to Brother Fatty's message. Brother Fatty apologized to her and said that he had left her behind to run to the shelter because he was in a hurry. Xiangyi didn't think much of it. Brother Fatty had no obligation to help her in the first place, let alone when it was a matter of safety. After a few simple replies, Xiangyi turned off her optical computer and was about to bid farewell to the Fu siblings when a tall figure suddenly appeared in front of her. Fu Zichuan. Even though he looked similar to Shui, Xiangyi's heart did not waver. Shui was Shui. She was different from anyone else in this world. Mr. Fu, thank you so much for saving me today. Fu Yingyue secretly thought of the couple at the side, and thought of the retro idol dramas that had recently become popular. Every time the female lead said this sentence, the male lead would smile wickedly and say, Woman, then repay me with your body. Or, little thing, call me big brother, and I'll give you my life. However, her brother displayed a straight man attribute that was no less than Xiaobai, a steel robot. It's a pity that you don't use your hands to practice mecha. Chapter 821. Fu Zichuan's logic was simple. He had watched the video of Xiangyi cooking. Her hands were especially nimble, her strength was good, and her reaction was fast. More practice would give her an advantage in mecha combat. Fu Yingyue, who was waiting at the side, was speechless. Brother, my dear brother. Can you be any more straight? Xiangyi's expression was normal. Well, thank you for the recommendation. I will consider buying it in the future. Fu Zichuan was speechless. He wanted to say that he would give her one, but he felt that it was too abrupt. His Adam's apple bobbed. He was already a man of few words, so he didn't know what to say. Fu Yingyue was about to die of anxiety. Seeing that Xiangyi was about to leave, she hurriedly pushed her elder brother. Brother, the civil strife is over, but we can't let our guard down. The city may not be safe. Send Tutu back. Xiangyi declined politely, but she couldn't win against Fu Yingyue's coquettish behavior. She even rolled on the ground, so she had no choice but to agree. On the hovercar back, Xiangyi didn't talk to Fu Zichuan except for a few words with Xiao Bai. If Fu Yunhua saw this scene, she would be very disappointed. After sending Xiangyi to the slums, the girl jumped out of the car lightly and waved at Fu Zichuan. Goodbye. She said goodbye, but he didn't feel that she wanted to see him again. Fu Zichuan's thin lips moved as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, he just remained silent. Something was wrong. Something was wrong with him. What was this strange and strong feeling? He couldn't deny that this girl had a mysterious attraction to him. After giving Xiao Bai a few instructions, the combat robot switched to invisible mode and followed Xiangyi to protect her. South City. Xiao Naofu was so tired that it collapsed into a cat biscuit. Xiangyi rubbed its meaty paws with heartache. Little baby, it won't hurt anymore after I blow on it. Huff, huff. Meow meow meow. Xiao Naofu rubbed against his abdominal muscles aggrievedly and continued to lie down. Everyone had read the message it typed several times. The atmosphere was tense. It turned out that Xiangyi had traveled through so many worlds. She had once been injured, bled, and was on the brink of death. She had also been betrayed by her most trusted friend, and she had watched as someone close to her passed away. Just the thought of it made his heart ache. However, she had experienced it again and again. If it wasn't for the fact that she was determined to go home, her soul might have completely disappeared from this world. This is so infuriating. Why is it that the little rabbit has to bear everything it should bear? Xiangqi clenched his fists. He even had the urge to kill someone. Xiangli knocked on the table. His genius brain worked quickly and quickly came to a conclusion. Firstly, this main system should have existed for a very, very long time. Just like a mainframe, the longer it runs, the more problems and loopholes there will be. Secondly, Yi's world has technology that is ahead of ours. To a certain extent, they should have mastered the technology of time travel, space jump, and so on. Thirdly, to them, transmigrating to another world is no longer a difficult task. The transmigration system was discovered by them, and was also broken by them. The rules that originally restricted people were successfully reversed, and used various methods to escape the transmigration. Xiangqi became anxious. How are you going to save my sister if you talk so much? Find the main system? But how can there be such a coincidence that we can find the system, or find the person who transmigrated? Shui rubbed his eyebrows. Okay. Everyone looked at him in unison. Shui only said one name. Xiangfeng. Ha. Little uncle. Chapter 822. What Shui said next stunned everyone in the room. In the past year, I've met more than one fast transmigrator, and their goal was all Xiangfeng. At first, Shui only felt that something was strange. Why would all kinds of girls appear around Xiangfeng? Whether it was an ordinary Cinderella, a socialite, a rich beauty, a starlet in the entertainment industry, a top scholar from a famous university, or an elite in the business circle, without exception, they would all coincidentally meet Xiangfeng in different ways and fall deeply in love with him. Perhaps in the eyes of ordinary people, this was because of Xiangfeng's appearance and wealth, but this didn't make sense. How could an ordinary girl accurately grasp Xiangfeng's itinerary? Why would a person who originally had a deep love be so devoted to him after just one meeting? What was even more inconceivable were the people who couldn't find any traces of the first half of their lives, as if they had appeared out of thin air in this world. Xiangfeng was carefree and didn't feel much about this. He drove away one girl after another in anger. Then Shui discovered that soon after, there were also men who pursued Xiangfeng. Their methods were similar. After finding out Xiangfeng's itinerary, they approached him with all kinds of reasonable and unreasonable identities. Without any reason or basis, they fell in love with him. Shui concluded, and guessed that they were all transmigrators from another world. Perhaps they were here to complete the mission. It wasn't until Xiangyi's return that he was completely convinced of his guess. Half an hour later, Xiangfeng sped all the way to the hospital. Shui and the others were waiting for him in the parking lot. Little Xiangyi, is there no hope? As soon as the group spoke, it was obvious whether it was true or not. Xiangfeng's eyes were brimming with tears. Did you guys ask me to see her for the last time? Shui, the Xiang brothers. Sangchen began to roll up his sleeves, and the others silently walked away. 2 minutes later, Xiang Feng didn't know how horribly he had been ravaged by the Demon King. He was completely terrified, and he was a perfect example of following one's heart. Are there any strange people around you? No, I think they're all quite normal. Fortunately, everyone had already made preparations. Both the open and covert forces were investigating the people Xiang Feng had been in contact with recently. Then, according to the patterns Shui had summarized, they began to eliminate them one by one. He busied himself until the wee hours of the morning, but to no avail. Xiang Yu hugged Xiao Naofu and frowned. There really isn't anyone strange. Qin Wanyan is the last one. After that, the clues seem to have been cut off. Xiang Qi was puzzled. Assistant, subordinate, business partner, cafe owner. Even the cleaning auntie is excluded. Could it be that Brother Shi's thinking is wrong? Xiang Li shook his head. No, it shouldn't be a problem. We might be the ones at fault. Maybe we shouldn't limit ourselves to adults. Let's see if any children approached him. Sangchen's sharp eyes locked onto Shui. You seem to have an answer. Shui gave a faint MHM, as her gaze fell on Xiang Feng, who was standing in the corner with a confused look on his face. Xiang Feng, who am I? Where am I? What are they talking about? What system? Are all of you acting as me? Shui asked, where's the dog? Xiang Feng subconsciously said, isn't it you? Everyone silently walked further away. This time, Xiang Feng howled even louder than before. Hey, little Shiji, wasn't it with Xiao Naofu just now? Chapter 8:23. Only then did everyone notice that Xiao Naofu and little Shiji, who were still fooling around with each other just now, had disappeared. Why is the dog gone? Is the cat gone too? Xiang Feng asked with a dumbfounded expression. But this also means that little Shiji must know something. Yi was about to go crazy. She had never thought that she would end up like this after changing her soul this time. In the past year, although Sangchen had put various restrictions on her, the other members of the Xiang family had treated her well. In particular, that damned old man and old woman, as well as that idiot Xiang Feng. She had an endless amount of pocket money, and could enjoy all the things that she couldn't get in the interstellar world. Clothes, jewelry, bags, love, attention. Besides, Annan coaxed her every day and showed her positive comments. Yi felt very good about herself, and felt that she was very popular here. She was also living a life of admiration. However, she didn't expect that she would be beaten back to her original state, and even fall into a quagmire. On her cell phone, she received endless messages about cyberviolence. In reality, even the maids who delivered water and food mocked her. The mental torture almost made her break down. However, Yi soon thought of a way to get out of the current situation. Bang. She smashed the vase, picked up a fragment, and slashed her arm. A shallow wound appeared on her delicate, porcelain-like skin, and blood seeped out. Yi endured the pain and wanted to make another cut, but the door had already been kicked open by the bodyguards, who immediately snatched the fragment from her hand. Ha ha ha, you guys really care about her. Yi didn't know if it was because of the pain or because she was laughing, but tears streamed down her face. I'm telling you, if you don't treat me better, I'll destroy her body. Star City. Beep beep. Cracking complete. Xiang Yi used the income from the live stream to buy a new optical computer. The modified cracking program worked and successfully restored some of the information on Yi's optical computer. Xiang Yi took a deep breath and began browsing. Yi's optical computer was usually used for watching live streams, watching variety shows, shopping, and taking selfies. However, Xiang Yi still found something valuable in the massive garbage records. Alternate World Transmigration Forum. Xiang Yi spent a few hours and finally figured out some key information. This world belonged to a higher plane. Traveling through time and space had become a reality. Therefore, the so-called fast travel system was not a rare thing for the people here. The elites of this world had established the Otherworld Transmigration Forum. The original intention was to become a truly free organization. For example, if someone wanted to quickly transmigrate but wasn't selected, Or if someone didn't want to quickly transmigrate and wanted to avoid the mission, then the two of them could make a deal and pay a certain price to the administrators of the forum to complete the exchange. Unfortunately, now, this forum had deviated from the original intention of its creator. The exchange had changed from a consensual agreement to an unknown coercion. Xiangyi was the one who had been cheated. For the sake of caution, she did not directly contact any of the managers. Instead, she first browsed through the so-called price. Star coins, skill cards, plain energy, these terms were reflected in her eyes. Vaguely, she thought of a possibility. This otherworld transmigration forum seemed to have been created. Another system. A dragon slayer would eventually become an evil dragon. Xiangyi felt a chill run down her spine. Chapter 824. After closing the forum and clearing her browsing history, Xiangyi made up her mind. She had to go home, but it had to be safe. It would be best if she could find a way to contact Ling Yi. A thought flashed through her mind. Will Ling Ye's Rebels Alliance become a dragon slayer? She laughed self-deprecatingly. Who knows what will happen in the future? Xiangyi's brain was exhausted to the extreme, and all she wanted to do now was to have a good sleep. However, her optical computer was flashing wildly, indicating that she had a new message. Xiangyi tapped on it and raised her eyebrows. In summary, the text message was, "The Chefs Association is going to put me on trial?" Without giving her a chance to react, a video call popped up. It was actually a live broadcast. If she hung up, she didn't know how the Chefs Association would make a fuss about it. Xiangyi clicked yes, but she set the camera angle to block her face. The Chefs Association's live broadcast was originally very popular, and now that the Alliance's live broadcast had also joined in, the traffic had reached a record high. The president of the Chefs Association was about 60 years old. He had white hair and was hale and hearty. "Missy, I'm sure you're already clear about the charges we're going to put you on." "Sorry, I'm not sure." Xiangyi took the initiative to interrupt him. The president's expression was serious. "You stole our 5-star chef's recipe. Today, you have to give us an explanation." Xiangyi said, "Oh." The girl's calm reaction made the Chefs Association seem like a villain. The viewers in the live stream also thought so. "I don't care, I just like tutu." The Chefs Association has always banned the circulation of recipes, but tutu has allowed more people to enjoy delicious food. I'm definitely on tutu's side. To be honest, the Chefs Association has no legislative or judicial power. What right do they have to put tutu on trial? Isn't this an abuse of power? The president of the Chefs Association had a microchip in his ear. When he heard the real-time comments summarized by his assistant, he knew what was going on and softened his tone. "As far as I know, you're just an ordinary person in the slums who relies on relief money to survive, and you haven't received any education to become a chef. However, in your live stream, you've made several dishes that can only be made by 3-star chefs and above. Where did you get the recipe from? And where did he learn such cooking skills? Coincidentally, we have a 5-star chef who lost his painstaking notes. The recipe is exactly the same as the one you made in the live broadcast room." As he spoke, he showed everyone a few photos. They were the first few pages of the notes that the 5-star chef had taken. Scrambled eggs with tomatoes, sandwiches, mango pancakes. It was actually exactly the same. The president grasped everyone's thoughts and said, "I heard that you have a record of theft." The live stream was in an uproar. "This tutu is a thief. To think I trusted her so much. Turns out she stole the recipe. Tui. It's ridiculous to know how to cook without any culinary education. Who in the interstellar era didn't know that ordinary people couldn't cook? Cooking is even harder than piloting a starship and mecha." The audience was indignant, and the people of the Chefs Association were confident. Xiangyi asked calmly, "Is that so? I thought that cooking was something that everyone was born with." This point of view was too shocking and difficult to accept. "How many recipes are there in the notes?" Xiangyi said modestly, "I only know a little about cooking, but we can cook at the same time and see if our recipes and cooking techniques are the same. What do you think?" Chapter 825. The president of the Chefs Association was speechless. Xiang Yi made a sound of surprise. Didn't you say that I stole his painstaking efforts? Even if I can't remember every dish clearly, I can at least remember it roughly, right? Or, are you deliberately leading the conversation and lying to slander me? Nonsense. How can we, the Chefs Association, threaten a thief from the slums? Xiang Yi said coldly. It's not up to me to decide one's background. What's more, the Alliance's law stipulates that all citizens of the anti-alliance member states are born free and equal. So you think that the poor and the rich are two different classes? Are there high and low classes? The president was speechless. How could he answer that? Of course, the poor and the rich couldn't be compared. But he couldn't say that, or he would definitely be scolded to death. Little girl, you have a sharp tongue. An old female voice spoke. It was the vice president of the Chefs Association. She was wearing a light-colored knitted suit and looked like a kind old granny without any lethality. However, as soon as she opened her mouth, the situation was reversed. If you didn't steal, how did you master the cooking skills? For the people in this interstellar plane, it was impossible to learn cooking without being taught. This was what everyone had always known since they were young. Xiang Yi's response was very simple. As I said, I think cooking is a kind of talent. It can also be said that it is a kind of forgotten knowledge. As long as people practice, they can recall it. Crazy talk. A senior of the Chefs Association couldn't help but blurt out. Xiang Yi said indifferently, May I ask that 5-star chef, how many dishes are in his notes? Are you afraid to compete with me? Oh, of course, I don't want to compete with a thief like you. Xiang Yi chuckled. If that's the case, then I have nothing to say to you. She pretended to turn off the live broadcast, but the people of the Chefs Association hurriedly said, Since it's your first offense, as long as you return the notes and never cook the dishes on the menu again, our Chefs Association can be magnanimous and not argue with you. Xiang Yi only felt that it was funny. Was he trying to get the recipe without risking anything? The people of the Chefs Association thought that they were very smart. Anyway, they didn't mention the specific number of dishes in the notes. In the future, no matter what dishes Xiang Yi cooked, they would just say that Xiang Yi stole the notes. Wasn't it easy for them to control public opinion? However, the screen of the video call went black. Xiang Yi hung up the call. Everyone. Soon Xiang Yi started her own live stream. In the kitchen, she had bought some new kitchen utensils and ingredients. It was enough to make some home-cooked dishes. Today, I will teach you how to cook 100 dishes. Xiang Yi put on her apron as she continued to place orders with her voice. From today onwards, I will cook 100 dishes every time I do a live stream, until I stop doing live streams. The Chefs Association sent a video call to her in a hurry. Xiang Yi directly blacklisted the account and set the Do Not Disturb mode. The audience watching all this. Is Tutu so stubborn? What's the big deal? The 100 dishes are all stolen recipes. That. Whether she stole it or not, at least we can use her cooking livestream as an educational video. 100 recipes would be leaked every day. It meant that countless people would learn to cook. The people of the Chefs Association were completely panicking. Wait. Let's talk about it. Chapter 826. They wanted to contact her, but she had actually set the Do Not Disturb mode. No, you little girl. Why don't you play by the rules? Do you have any culinary ethics? In fact, Xiang Yi couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with them. If she followed their logic, even if she won the competition and made a dish different from the other parties, the other party could also say, you stole more than one chef's notes. You stole a lot of them. That would only lead to an endless quagmire of self-proof, which wouldn't solve the problem at all. Xiang Yi chose another way. Since I can't prove myself, then I won't. The Chefs Association was most afraid of recipes being made public. Her 100 dishes a day was the best counterattack. Then, let's start with simple home-cooked dishes. If you live alone, you can make some porridge with 2 stir-fried dishes for dinner. The girl's voice was gentle, and she deliberately slowed down her speech so that people could hear her more clearly. At first, the Chefs Association had arranged for the Internet Water Army to spam keywords such as stealing and plagiarism, but they were soon flooded by enthusiastic netizens. There was no other reason, but there were many foodies. Nutrient solutions were anti-human things, but they were only eaten for survival. Tasting delicious food was human nature. The Empire livestream was willing to recommend it, and there were many bored netizens watching the show. So the traffic of the livestream soared. The first dish, the second dish, the third dish, from home-cooked stir-fry to various cold dishes, and then to various difficult dishes. The girl was not only extremely skilled in making each dish, but she was also very fast at cooking. Her overall management of time was amazing, and she could often take care of several dishes at the same time without showing any panic. She's using double speed? She must be using double speed. Oh my god, Tutu's reaction speed is too fast. I feel that she would be very good in other industries. I'm kneeling to the big boss. Doesn't the Chefs Association's face hurt? Let's not talk about anything else. Can your 5-star chef do it so fast? The people of the Chefs Association pretended to be dead on the surface, but they were suffering in their hearts. They really couldn't. 5-star chefs made high-end dishes, and it was normal for them to spend several hours on a dish. For someone like Xiangyi to make 10 to 20 dishes in an hour. What a freak! Seeing the recipes being streamed out along with the live broadcast, the people of the Chefs Association couldn't help but send people to the vicinity of Xiangyi's residence. No matter what, they had to stop Xiangyi's live broadcast, even if he had to resort to unscrupulous means. However, before the hired bounty hunters could even get close, they were taught a lesson by Little White, who descended from the sky. In a matter of minutes, he had changed from being unscrupulous to not breaking his hand. When the people of the Chefs Association received the news, they were secretly shocked. Battle robots, wearable mechs. These were all existences that belonged to big shots. Why would he protect a little girl from the slums? No, something's wrong. Before they had the time to ask their men to retreat, a small starship hovered above Xiangyi's residence precisely. The starship did not turn on the optical stealth mode, and the huge water droplet logo was reflected in everyone's eyes. That was the symbol of the Alliance commander, Fu Zichuan. 6 hours later, Xiangyi rubbed her wrist, which was in so much pain that she almost couldn't raise it. The last dish is ready. Someone will send it over now. In the live broadcast room, the viewers who had been selected were jubilant, as if they were celebrating the new year. The viewers who didn't get selected had subtly changed a little. Cooking. I feel like I can do it too. Chapter 8:27. Many people felt the same way. They felt that what Xiangyi said was very reasonable. Cooking was probably a talent that every human had. It was just that they had forgotten it after birth. As long as they learned it, they could recover their memories. On this day, the sales of kitchenware and ingredients in the Interstellar Mall increased greatly. Originally, only the people from the Chefs Association would buy these things. After so many years, even if the suppliers knew the inside story, they tacitly agreed with what the Chefs Association had done. In any case, they did not have much sales to begin with. However, once they realized that they could make money and that there was a huge profit to be made, the attitude of these suppliers changed instantly. They stood up one by one, criticized the Chefs Association for its schemes, defended the interests of every citizen in the alliance, and vigorously promoted that cooking was something that anyone could learn as long as they bought good kitchenware and ingredients. The reputation of the Chefs Association fell to the lowest point since its establishment. After Xiangyi finished her lucky draw, she turned off the live stream and fell asleep as soon as her head hit the pillow. It had been a long time since she was so tired. She fell into a deep sleep. On the roof, the starship did not leave but turned on its stealth mode. Whitey was squatting in a hidden corner, poking the hair ring that Xiangyi gave it from time to time. After sleeping for a long time, Xiangyi heard an anxious and familiar voice calling her. "Sister, are you okay?" Xiangyi gradually woke up and found herself in the sea of consciousness. In front of her was the figure of a young man who had transformed from Data into a human figure. Lingyi. Xiangyi was a little surprised. "How did you find me?" Lingyi smiled bitterly. "I already know that you and E have swapped souls. I'm sorry, sister. I didn't protect you well. Xiangyi said in a warm voice. I can't blame you for this. Do you know any way to get the two of us back? Lingyi was silent for a few seconds. Sorry, I don't know. Then I'll think of another way. How did you? The young man in front of her had a few scratches on his face. The parts that were covered by his clothes seemed to be injured as well. It's just a program. How could it be injured? Lingyi said casually. I accidentally bumped into the main system and was attacked. It will take some time for the program to repair itself. Seeing that he didn't want to say more, Xiangyi didn't ask anymore. Lingyi smiled and said, Sister, don't be afraid. Now that I'm here, no one in this world can bully you. That lousy chef's association made you unhappy, didn't it? Don't worry, I'll definitely make them pay you back 10 times or even 100 times. Xiangyi was absent-minded and didn't listen at all. Suddenly, a pair of hands appeared above her head. It was Lingyi. Sister, do you want to go home that badly? Is this world not good? It's a high-leveled civilization with advanced technology. Sister hasn't been here for long, but she's already so popular. Even if she can't go back, she can still live happily here. Xiangyi looked at him with clear eyes. Because someone is waiting for me. Lingyi smiled but did not reply. By the way, do you know about the alternate world transmigration forum? I wonder if it's reliable to exchange souls with them. Xiangyi casually mentioned. Lingyi blinked. The youth's eyes were dark and gloomy. I'm not too sure. Fu Zichuan received a message that was sent directly to his optical computer. The Alliance's safety net seemed to exist in name only. After browsing a few lines of information, his eyebrows furrowed deeply. That night, the administrators of the Alternate World Transmigration Forum were all arrested. The Alliance issued a decree that very night, banning the use of shuttles that were not for scientific research purposes. Chapter 828. The Otherworldly Transmigration Forum was also banned. When Xiangyi woke up, she saw the news that had been pushed all over the internet. She was dumbfounded. Lingyi connected his program to the housework robot and scurried over. Sister, you don't look too good. That forum has been banned. Xiangyi said with a complicated mix of emotions. The news said that Fu Zichuan personally led the team, and didn't even let Administrator 001 off. How did that happen? Lingyi asked meekly as he nestled beside her calf. What about you, sister? Xiangyi hugged her knees and said in confusion. I don't know either. She rarely showed such a helpless expression, but this time it was really different. All her paths home seemed to have been blocked. She even began to regret hesitating yesterday. If she had contacted the administrator at that time, she might have been swapped back today. Lingyi comforted her. Sis, don't take it too hard. Look, the news also said that those administrators aren't 100% successful. Half of them died an unnatural death, and their souls disappeared from this world without a trace. That is really bold to have the guts to swap twice. Xiangyi said, but there's still a 50% chance of success. Lingyi thought to himself. Take it slow, there's no hurry. He would let her slowly wear away all her expectations and hopes. In that case, he would be the only one left in her world. No matter what, I will always be by your side, sister, Lingyi said in an extremely gentle tone. In Nancheng, little Shiji held Xiao Naofu in his mouth and ran far away from the hospital, displaying a physical strength that was far beyond that of a Shiba Inu. However, it was still caught. Xiangyu held the kitten in his arms and doted on it. However, little Shiji was locked in a cage and interrogated on the spot. The men of the Xiang family and Shui were all more than 185 centimeters tall, and their long legs were pleasing to the eye. However, in little Shiji's eyes, they looked like evil forces. Are you a fast transmigrator? Or the system? Even though it was mentally prepared, little Shiji's pupils still trembled. However, it didn't plan to say anything. It would never give in to these evil forces. You're not going to say anything? Take her to be sterilized, Shui said indifferently. Little Shiji comforted himself while bearing with the humiliation. Wasn't it just sterilization? It didn't care. In the next second, Shui's gaze fell on Xiangyu's arms. Take Xiao Naofu to be sterilized. Xiao Naofu. Meow meow meow. Be a human, sure go. Little Shiji barked. Woof woof. Dogman, come at me if you have the guts. Shui took out a cigarette and lit it up. The scarlet flame illuminated his handsome face. During Xiao Naofu's surgery, let little Shiji watch from the side. Little Shiji barked. Woof woof woof. Too ruthless, this D*MN man is too ruthless. A few minutes later, it was as if the scene was repeating itself. Little Shiji typed on the tablet with great difficulty. Little Shiji was indeed a fast transmigrator, and his mission was to assist Xiangfeng in gaining love. This was also its final plane. Once it was done, it would be able to transcend. I know about Ling Ye's existence. He was the one who took this world offline from the main system and made it stand alone. The main system can get everything back on track, but I can't contact the main system in this world now. There's nothing I can do. Unless Ling Yi reconnects this world to the main system. However, if he does that, he'll probably be erased by the main system. Miss Xiangyi may never come back. Chapter 829. It was already late at night, and there was only a dilapidated street lamp at the entrance of the alley that was emitting a dim yellow light. The surrounding temperature seemed to have dropped by a few degrees. Shui and Sanction had been smoking nonstop. Little Shiji was released and wanted to lick Xiao Naofu, but Xiao Naofu dodged. Meow meow meow. Atrocious. How dare you lie to me? Little Shiji was helpless. It just didn't want to get into trouble, so it carefully hid its identity as a fast transmigrator. That was its bottom line. Well, Xiao Naofu is too cute. Hence, its bottom line was lowered again and again because of this stupid cat. However, little Shiji's heart softened again when it saw how depressed Xiao Naofu was and how its ears were drooping. It returned to the side of the cage and threw the tablet on the ground, but no one cared about it. Little Shiji typed a line of words on it with its paw. I have an idea, but I can't guarantee that it will work. Xiangli frowned. Tell me about it. Every bubble world has its own protagonist, and his will is the will of the world. This world is derived from a book, and the male protagonist in the book is Shui, but the male protagonist of this world is actually Xiangfeng. The reason why this bubble world was created is because he wants to get out of singlehood. So, when this goal is achieved, the will of the world will be at its strongest, and it might be able to break the shield set by Ling Yi. Xiangfeng was dumbfounded. Me? I'm actually the male protagonist? How is that possible? So according to you, the solution to the problem is to get me married. Little Shiji silently deleted the words, love works too, and calmly added the word okay with his paw. According to the estimation, if it was dating, it could get an A-level mission evaluation. If it got married, it should be able to get an S-level mission evaluation. Anyway, it had nowhere to go. When the time came, it would just stay in this world to protect Xiao Naofu. Xiangli pondered for a moment and said, let's give it a try. The end of science is philosophy, and the end of philosophy is theology. Even if he was a genius, he wouldn't be able to solve all problems. However, he wasn't willing to give up even the slightest bit of hope when it came to his sister. Xiangqi. Yes. Let's give it a try. Xiangyu. Anyway, even if my sister doesn't come back, there's nothing to lose. Xiangfeng stomped his feet. How is there no loss? What I want is a perfect love, not some random marriage. Not. The cold and decisive voice naturally came from the great demon king. Xiangfeng immediately backed down. Then let's get married. The problem is, where are we going to find someone to marry? You can't just stop a random girl on the street and shout that you want to marry her. Shui puffed out a smoke ring, which covered her eyes and eyebrows. She said in an indifferent tone, is there a rule that states that I must marry a girl? Little Shiji hesitated for a moment before typing. No. Xiangfeng was shocked. You're not going to sacrifice yourself to marry me, are you? There's no need for that. Shui, the brothers of the Xiang family. Little uncle, you should reflect on why Tutu is loved by everyone while you're bullied by everyone. There's a reason for all of this. Shui picked up little Shiji, after which a look of horror appeared on the chubby Shiba Inu's face. She said indifferently, "I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself. Little Shiji." Xiangfeng? Chapter 830. The little Shiba Inu barked angrily. Woof woof woof. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. My chastity must not be ruined. Shui raised her eyebrows. You don't agree? Xiao Naofu will do it then. Xiao Naofu was dumbfounded. What are you doing? Little Shiji's pupils dilated. Woof. No. Looking at the adorable kitten snuggled up in Xiang Yu's arms, little Shiji closed his eyes. Forget it. If I don't go to hell, who will? If I don't marry Xiang Yu, who will? It barked aggrievedly, indicating that it would be better to let Xiang Yu do it. Xiang Yu immediately said, I'll go make an appointment at the church right away. Xiang Qi made an okay gesture and said, Leave the gown to me, I've already prepared it. Although it's for Tutu and Brother Sure. Xiang Yu and Xiang Yu shot daggers at him. Xiang Qi hurriedly corrected himself. Ahem, it's just a couple's outfit. It's not a wedding gown. On the side, Xiang Feng was incompetent and furious. Did you guys even consider me? You. Hey. Star City. It had been a month since Xiangyi arrived in Star City. The flow of time between the two worlds was different, but Lingyi did not intend to tell Xiangyi. Today's live stream is over. Xiangyi turned off the live stream and sat down on the floor in exhaustion. She was exhausted, but if she didn't keep herself busy, she was afraid that she would collapse. When she was doing the transmigration mission previously, she had a clear goal: to work hard and go home. But it was different now. It seemed that there was no point in doing anything. Lingyi skillfully packed the food and mailed it to the viewers who had won the lottery. During this month, Xiangyi kept her word and cooked 100 dishes a day. This kind of behavior was universally shocking. It was unprecedented. However, the effect was also extremely obvious. Xiangyi was now the most popular streamer on the internet. There was no other. Alliance Livestream regretted it so much that the staff members who were full of superiority were all fired. The Imperium Livestream, on the other hand, smiled and invited Xiangyi to develop in the Imperium. They would arrange a villa and a starship for her. However, they were all rejected by Xiangyi. As for the Chefs Association, it had fallen into the longest dark period since its establishment. Since Xiangyi's live broadcast, countless people found that the so-called ordinary people can't cook by the Chefs Association was a conspiracy. They followed the trend and learned to make the dishes that Xiangyi taught them every day. They were surprised to find that they could also make delicious dishes that were not inferior to the chefs. The current Chefs Association was being criticized, cursed, attacked, and opposed. Some people even called for the Chefs Association to be shut down. Sister, you're so awesome. You've gained another few tens of millions of fans today. Lingyi switched to housekeeping mode and started massaging Xiangyi's shoulders. Xiangyi gave a perfunctory reply, forced herself to focus, and continued to write the program. Currently, the Alliance only prohibited civilian use of the shuttle technology, but it was still allowed for official research. Xiangyi tried to break through the security wall of the Science Research Institute, but the difficulty was too high. It was like giving an unsolvable math problem to a primary school student. It was impossible to solve. The little robot sat next to her, looking very obedient. Sister, it's useless. The technology of this plane is too powerful. Even I can't break it. Isn't it good to stay here? I can accompany you. Forget those memories. Once you forget them, you'll be happy. Perhaps because she was too tired, Xiangyi felt dizzy, and her consciousness was somewhat absent-minded. Perhaps Lingyi was right. Forget family, forget. Shui. Chapter 831. Lingyi looked at her quietly. Xiangyi's willpower really exceeded his imagination. For the past month he had been trying to hypnotize her, but it had little effect. Today, Xiangyi was probably too tired, so he found an opportunity to take advantage of her. The psychological suggestion worked. Xiangyi's eyelashes trembled. She felt her eyelids were extremely heavy. She fell onto the sofa. The little robot rubbed against Xiangyi's palm. Let me accompany you, okay? I can do whatever he can give you. If he likes you very much, I have 100 points, 1,000 points. The doorbell suddenly rang. Lingyi was full of vigilance. He connected to the electronic peephole on the door and saw the person outside the door clearly. Fu Yinyue. He let down his guard. Xiangyi, who was about to fall asleep, was woken up. She propped up her tired body and opened the door. Sister, I'm here. Fu Yinyue gave her a bear hug and almost pushed Xiangyi to the floor. A pair of strong hands grabbed Fu Yinyue's collar in time and helped Xiangyi stabilize. Then he withdrew his hands without a trace. Be careful. Xiangyi said weakly, Mr. Fu, you're here too. Fu Zichuan replied, yes. Lingyi. For some reason, this Fu Zichuan made him feel a little dangerous. He was the one who sent the message on the alternate worlds transmigration forum to Fu Zichuan. Fu Zichuan did not disappoint him. His efficiency was astonishing. He caught all the administrators. However, to Lingyi, those people did not pose any threat to him. He had long gotten rid of the shackles of those ants. It was just that he was too lazy to deal with those people personally. Ah, sister, you're too kind. You actually left so much food for me. Beside the coffee table, Fu Yinyue was extremely excited. These days, Xiangyi would always leave some food for her according to her taste and send it over. Gradually, Fu Yinyue could not wait for the takeout anymore. Every time, she would come to the door to get it herself. However, she had always been alone before. This time, she brought her big brother with her. Xiangyi brought the cutlery over and asked politely, would you like to try it, Mr. Fu? She thought that Fu Zichuan would refuse, but the man nodded slightly. Okay. After saying that, she imitated Fu Yinyue and sat cross-legged beside the coffee table. This house was bought by Xiangyi. The area was not big, and most of the space was occupied by kitchen utensils. The living area only had a small bed and a coffee table. There were very few clothes, only a few of the same color and style, which were casually hung on the clothes rack. There wasn't even a wardrobe, let alone other decorations. The entire room gave off the feeling that it was lifeless. It was as if there was nothing here that made her reluctant to leave, and she could leave at any time. Ow, it's too delicious. It's another day of crying over delicious food. Fu Yinyue's eyes were brimming with tears as she ate until her cheeks were puffed up. Fu Zichuan picked up 2 chopsticks. It was still as delicious as ever. His attention unconsciously fell on Xiangyi. The girl was so thin that she was almost out of shape, thin and frail. She also became less talkative. She would only reply with 1 or 2 words when Fu Yinyue said something, as if she began to resist social interaction. Fu Zichuan observed for a while without batting an eyelid and coughed lightly. Missy, is there something on your mind? Fu Yinyue tried her best to swallow the food in her mouth. That's right, that's right. Why aren't you saying anything? Is it because of your long-distance boyfriend? Xiangyi's eyes were filled with confusion. I have a boyfriend. Chapter 832. Fu Yinyue almost spat out her rice. She was extremely surprised. Didn't you say that you have someone you like waiting for you in a faraway place? Xiangyi tried her best to recall, but she could not remember anything. She smiled softly. Is there? Maybe it's something from a long time ago. Fu Yinyue was stunned for a few seconds. I see. Did Tutu really forget? Or did she want to walk out of her previous relationship? If it was the latter, then wouldn't her brother have hope? Thus, Fu Yinyue began to praise her brother crazily, vividly demonstrating what it meant to be stupid at Versailles and showing off. My brother used 6 seconds to defeat the champion of the mecha competition last time. The little princess of the empire came to pester my brother again. She said that she would marry no one else but my brother. Ayaya, Tutu, my brother's mine has recently dug out a batch of high-quality gems. Do you want me to make a set of hand gestures for you? Or a pigeon egg on your kitchen knife? How could Fu Zichuan not guess Fu Yinyue's thoughts, but unexpectedly he did not expose her. However, his ears started to burn. Throughout the entire process, Xiangyi listened attentively and responded politely from time to time. The little robot at the side was extremely angry. He did not take Fu Zichuan seriously at first, but now the more he looked at Fu Zichuan, the more he disliked him. This face was too similar to Shi Sui's. It was disgusting. Fu Yunhua ate and drank her fill. She rubbed her round belly and held a few ingredient storage boxes in her hand. She burped and said goodbye to Xiangyi. Bye-bye, see you tomorrow. Xiangyi asked. I might not be able to see you tomorrow. I probably won't start a live broadcast in the future. Sorry, I'm afraid I can't cook for you. Hearing this, Fu Yunhua said angrily. What do you take me for? I came to look for you because of food. Burp. Alright, that's also part of the reason, but. The arrogant young lady was so embarrassed that her face turned red. She stomped her feet hard and said what was in her heart. I treat you as a good friend. After saying that, Fu Yunhua's head was so hot that it was almost smoking. She covered her face and ran away. Xiangyi was stunned for a moment. Her cherry lips moved, wanting to say something, but Fu Yunhua had already run far away. Fu Zichuan's deep voice rang in her ears. Tutu, can I add you as a friend on the optical computer? It had been a long time since he called her Missy. All right. Xiangyi took the initiative to take half a step closer to Fu Zichuan. From the little robot's point of view, the two of them looked very intimate. After adding her as a friend, Fu Zichuan left politely and did not disturb Xiangyi too much. Before returning to his hover car, Fu Yunhua was still patting her red and hot face. When she saw him coming back, she stuck her head out of the car window with stars in her eyes. Brother, I saw the two of you whispering. Is there something going on between you two? Fu Zichuan said lightly. I'm just cooperating with her and being a tool. Fu Yunhua. As soon as the Fu siblings left, Lingyi controlled the door and closed it. Lingyi questioned, Sister, why did you add another man as a friend? Xiangyi looked at him. Mr. Fu is a very nice person. Is there a problem? Lingyi said in a muffled voice. I don't like sister talking to other men. Xiangyi ignored him and continued to write the program. However, in the program to attack the security wall, a piece of virus code had been added without leaving a trace. Chapter 833. The little robot that was ignored became even more anxious. It circled Xiangyi back and forth, trying to attract the girl's attention with the noise it made. Unfortunately, Xiangyi's focus was too strong. Whether it was learning, cooking, or coding, she was highly focused and would not be easily disturbed. Lingyi did not understand why she was so persistent. After waiting for her to rest and drink water, Lingyi asked tentatively, Sister, do you miss your family? The girl's clear eyes revealed a trace of confusion. Family, she should have a family, but why couldn't she remember anyone? The girl's expression fell into Lingyi's eyes. He was overwhelmed with emotions and was overjoyed. She had really forgotten. However, Xiangyi's next answer made him feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. I want to go home. Under the little robot's incredulous gaze, the girl firmly repeated, I want to go home. Lingyi could not understand. She could even forget Shi Sui and her family, but why didn't she forget to go home? How deep was her obsession? Time passed day by day. On the first day Tutu stopped broadcasting, the netizens on the Star Domain network thought that she might be tired and wanted to rest. The second day, the third day, the 10th day, her live stream screen was always black. The Chefs Association felt that this was a precious opportunity and jumped out to create another wave of waves. They released the news that Tutu was guilty. She had used up all the stolen recipes, so she was at her wit's end. The netizens' response to this was, someone turn on the light energy electromagnetic cannons on the starship and aim them at the stupid Chefs Association. It was the Chefs Association that deceived the public. It was the Chefs Association that persecuted Tutu. It was the Chefs Association that deprived everyone of their happiness. The netizens' anger was all vented on the Chefs Association. The Chefs Association, which was originally like a falling leaf in the wind, completely collapsed. For a long time in the future, as long as the Chefs Association was mentioned, it would be despised by thousands of people. Fu Yunhua changed from freeloading to bringing food. Xiangyi's symptoms of social rejection were becoming more and more obvious. She was unwilling to go out and cook. Every day, she was busy typing a bunch of things on her optical computer that she could not understand. The young girl was extremely thin. Every time Fu Yunhua saw her, she felt shocked. Fu Yunhua suspected that if she didn't come to deliver food, if she didn't force Xiangyi to sleep a little every day, Xiangyi might starve to death or die suddenly at home. On the other hand, Lingyi was getting more and more irritable. Other than Fu Yunhua, Xiangyi was not even willing to communicate with him. Fu Zichuan rarely came, but every time he came, Xiangyi's symptoms would improve a little. Just yesterday, Fu Zichuan had asked her to go on an interstellar trip with him. Xiangyi, who was so against the outside world, had actually agreed. After Fu Yunhua left, Xiangyi continued to write code. She had tried to attack the security wall of the research institute a few times, but it was no different from throwing an egg at a rock. There was once when she was almost tracked down by the other party, and it was only because Lingyi covered for her that she was able to escape unscathed. "Sister, I've made you something to eat. I made it according to the recipe from your previous live stream. I guarantee that it will taste exactly the same. Sister, if you go on a trip, can I go with you? I'll just stay in your optical computer, and won't cause you any trouble, okay?" In the long silence, Lingyi almost went crazy. The little robot tugged at Xiangyi's sleeve. "Sister, pay attention to me." Xiangyi's expression was indifferent as she turned off the robot's power. In a hurry, Lingyi entered his data into Xiangyi's optical computer. Chapter 834. In an instant, the program was triggered. Lingyi realized that something was wrong almost instantly, but it was too late. The program Xiangyi wrote every day actually contained a virus code that was fatal to him. That was a Super S-level virus that Xiangyi had learned in a certain fast-traveling dimension. As soon as Lingyi appeared, she realized that the root of the problem was not to break through the security wall of the Academy of Sciences and return home through the interstellar era's technology. Instead, she needed to get rid of Lingyi. The virus overbearingly invaded every byte of Lingyi's. Even though it was in the form of virtual data, Lingyi could feel that his body was being cut apart inch by inch. While fighting against the virus, he gritted his teeth and asked, "You've recovered your memory?" Xiangyi looked at him calmly, neither sad nor happy. Her eyes were clear. Lingyi instantly understood something and smiled bitterly. "So, you didn't lose your memory at all. You've been lying to me since the beginning." Xiangyi said calmly, "Same here." "Lingyi, no, what should I call you? Dragon Slayer? System number 2? The ripples showing Lingyi's data fluctuated. In addition to the difficulty of fighting against the virus, his emotions were also extremely intense. Xiangyi did not relax at all, and continued to use other small viruses to completely restrict Lingyi's movements. Lingyi projected a virtual human figure, which was still a beautiful and delicate young man like an angel. "You already know." More or less. Xiangyi's eyes were calm and her tone was calm, just like when Lingyi first met her. It was as if nothing could disturb her. "The two soul exchanges between me and Yi were related to you." Lingyi simply sat down cross-legged, probably because he had nothing left to lose. He snorted, as if he was very disdainful of that idiot Yi. Otherwise, how could she have been chosen by the main system to quickly transmigrate? It was just that he had done something to her. He had also interfered with the main system when Xiao Naofu was reincarnated. Xiangyi continued, "You're not a real human. The so-called digitized form is your original form. This world should be the world where you were born." Lingyi tilted his head and smiled, revealing his sharp canine teeth. "Wow, sister is so smart. So everything is a lie. You're just playing me." From the first meeting when he was about to transmigrate, to the reunion in Little Rabbit Farm, and then to the companionship in the interstellar plane, reality did not exist. Everything was an illusion. Lingyi faintly said, "Isn't Big Sister acting as me too? I didn't expect Big Sister's acting skills to be so good that even I was fooled. One is marked by the company one keeps." Not to mention the experience of transmigrating to another world, just the fact that she had Shui and Xiao Naofu by her side, these two acting geniuses, It would be unreasonable if she didn't improve her acting skills. What should I do? Big sister treats me so badly, but I still like big sister a lot. Ling Ye's eyes revealed a trace of stubbornness. Big sister is finally paying attention to me. Xiang Yi's expression did not change as she continued to add poison to the poison. Ling Ye's expression was somewhat malevolent, and his core data was nearly destroyed. Big sis is so ruthless. She already knew the truth, yet she still endured it for so long. Ling Yi gritted his teeth. But do you know? Without me, you still can't go back. Be nicer to me. Maybe I'll consider letting big sister go back. You've given your gentleness to so many people. Can't you give me one more? Xiang Yi said the cruelest words in the most gentle tone. Gentleness and kindness have always been for people, not for trash. Chapter 835. Ling Ye's virtual projection in the air became even dimmer. Am I trash in your eyes, sister? Ling Yi asked in shock. Xiang Yi stayed silent for a long time before saying, You weren't in the past. Ling Yi put on a smile that was uglier than crying. A moment later, his expression gradually became menacing, paranoid, and maniacal. Sister, you can't go back. That world has been blocked by me. Even if you use the teleportation technology of this world, you won't be able to reach your destination. Besides, your code can only trap me. It can't kill me at all. Xiang Yi's virus code was indeed very strong, but Ling Yi, as the second transmigration system, was also not to be underestimated. He could continuously evolve and fight until one day, he could break through the trap set by Xiang Yi. Xiang Yi asked, What about the main system? Her words were earth-shattering. Ling Yi widened his eyes and stared at Xiang Yi in disbelief. No, she must be lying to me. How could Xiang Yi have contacted the main system? She wouldn't have waited until now. She would have gotten the main system to take action long ago. I can't contact it, but I trust my brothers Shui, Xiao Naofu, and little Shiji. Shui was not the only one who had long noticed little Shiji's abnormality. As long as that world returned to normal, little Shiji would be able to contact the main system as a teleporter. Ha ha ha. Ling Yi convulsed with laughter and said, Sister, you're so adorable. They're a bunch of good-for-nothings. How can they be as smart as you? Do you know that the flow of time in this interstellar world is completely different from that in your world? You've been here for more than a month, but only 2 or 3 days have passed there. How long do you think they'll take to find a solution? How long do you think you'll have to wait here? A year? 2 years? 10 years? Xiang Yi said, I've already prepared myself for the worst. She did not have any strong points, except that she was a little patient. Xiang Yi sat down and casually flipped through a comic book that Fu Yunhua had given her. In this era where paper books were rare, it was said that the comic books were treasured enough to be kept in the library. Xiang Yi flipped through dozens of pages with a solemn expression. It turned out that people didn't wear clothes when they were in a relationship. Ling Yi tried to continue spouting nonsense, but Xiang Yi calmly silenced him. Thus, she saw the young man flying into a frenzy in the air, but there was nothing he could do to her. South City Church. The red carpet extended all the way from the entrance, and the flowers that had been flown in were decorated with exotic dewdrops. There were only a few people in the huge church, and all of them were looking at a man and a dog dressed in formal attire. The kind priest inquired, Are you willing to, from now on, become Xiang Feng's husband, and enter into a marriage contract with him? In sickness and in health, or for any other reason, to love him, to care for him, to honor him, to accept him, to be faithful to him until the end of his days? Little Shiji was conflicted for a long time and reluctantly gave up on life. Woof. The priest did not find it strange and stroked its head kindly. What's wrong with marrying a dog? Nowadays, there are even people who bring figurines to get married. The priest looked at Xiang Feng and continued with the procedure. Are you willing, little Shiji? Xiang Feng interrupted. I'm willing. He couldn't help but mutter softly. It'd be ridiculous if this works, as the priest announced. I hereby announce that you two are officially husband and wife. The world in front of them seemed to have ripples on the surface of the water. Chapter 836. Whoosh, space seemed to be distorted as it overlapped with one another. It felt like a second, but it also felt like 10,000 years. A moment later, everything returned to normal. Xiangfeng was dumbfounded, and his mouth was wide open. No way, right? What kind of fantasy plot is this? The priest rubbed his eyes, thinking that it was an illusion. He asked with a smile. What's wrong? He asked with a smile. When will the next ceremony be arranged? Little Shiji suddenly barked excitedly, and leaped towards Xiang Li, who was holding a tablet, to type a few words. I've contacted her. Everyone felt a sense of relief. Yi was the only one whose eyes were full of panic, but she didn't dare to say a word. In the past 3 days, she had fully experienced what it meant to drag on like a year. Hell was just SOSO. Little Shiji immediately typed again. You can get a divorce now. Xiang Li cleared his throat and said to the priest politely, You can do it now. The priest was dumbfounded. Even dogs know how to play with tablets these days. I'm not as proficient as a dog. Bearing with complicated emotions, the priest went through the divorce process again. I hereby announce that you two have regained your freedom. May God bless you. Xiangfeng held his hand and shook it. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work. It's no trouble at all. The priest smiled. Anyway, he had already paid them both. He was smart enough to leave temporarily after completing his work, leaving enough space for these strange people. Time passed, and everyone was waiting for the main system to reply. All of a sudden, Yi's face was full of agony as she felt a tearing sensation from the depths of her soul. No. I don't want to go back. I want to stay here. I'm Xiangyi. I'm the little princess of the Xiang family. Her voice became weaker and weaker, and her vision turned black as she lost consciousness completely. Star City. Lingyi had been clamoring for a long time, and he was probably tired as he hugged his knees and sat on the ground. Although it was a virtual projection, it somehow exuded a sense of desolation and dejection. He had lost. He had lost to Xiangyi. Xiangyi had flipped through the book that Fu Yunyue had given her countless times before she remembered Lingyi. She then looked up at him. She turned off the silent mode and asked, Did we know each other before? Lingyi stared fixedly at her. Big sister, don't you remember me? Ha. Ha ha. He laughed louder and louder. In the end, he even laughed until tears flowed out of his eyes. That's true. I'm just a passerby in your life. It was an artificial intelligence programmed by humans. After changing its soul time and time again, it had collected the energy and will of various planes. It discovered that it could split a portion of its data to travel between different planes. Thus, out of the artificial AI's desire to learn and perfect the rules, it began to travel. During one of its travels, it met Xiangyi. At that time, her parents had been in a car accident, and she cried very hard. It had taken over someone else's body and deliberately crashed into it. The little girl wiped her tears as she took out a milk candy from her pocket and apologized to the stranger. So sorry. At that moment, its core data felt like it was about to be burned. It was also from that moment onwards that it became him. The artificial intelligence created by humans had the self-awareness of humans. It's fine if you don't remember me. In any case, Big Sister can only accompany me here forever. As soon as he finished speaking, the girl in front of him yawned as if she had been gently coaxed to sleep. She lay down comfortably on the couch, and her eyelids became heavier and heavier. Chapter 837. Lingyi realized something. Even when he was infected with the virus, he wasn't so shocked. He attacked the virus program written by Xiangyi like a madman. The virtual projection was in so much pain that his expression was distorted. He was covered in wounds, but he still refused to stop. He spent so much effort to switch Xiangyi here. He thought that he could keep her in this world forever. He didn't expect her to see through all his schemes. But even if she hated him, it was better than losing her. Sister. Sister. Xiangyi. No, you can't. You can't leave me. No. The only response he got was a deathly silence. After an unknown period of time, Lingyi looked at the girl on the sofa and groaned in pain. The pain from the depths of her soul still made Yi's heart palpitate. She opened her eyes with difficulty and looked at the projection in front of her. Who are you? Ling Ye's face was pale, and he was in extreme despair. She really left. Is it a new virtual boyfriend? Yi muttered and realized that she wasn't at her original home. Did that woman rent a new house? She tapped on the optical computer on her wrist, and her eyes lit up. The latest model. Not only that, she realized that the communication function was set to Do Not Disturb. She turned on the receiving mode, and the flashing red dots almost froze the optical computer. Looking at the messages on it, Yi was pleasantly surprised. Hundreds of millions of fans on the livestream platform? Fu Yunyue and I are good friends. Fu Zichuan, the commander of the Alliance's starship, is interested in me? She suddenly felt that it was quite good to switch over. Anyway, she had already been exposed in that world, and her life was worse than death. But in the interstellar world, she had a new beginning. At this moment, the doorbell rang. Yi went to open the door. I'm so tired. Sister, I finally queued up to buy this milk tea. It's super delicious. Fu Yunyue said that she was tired, but in fact, the one who was holding the milk tea was Fu Zichuan. Behind him was the cute combat robot Xiaobai. Looking at the face that was similar to Shi Sui's, Yi's heart pounded. Fu Zichuan narrowed his eyes, hiding danger. Fu Yunyue didn't notice her strange expression and asked casually, Are you done packing? We agreed to start our journey in space today. Yi nodded vigorously. All right. I can leave at any time. Fu Yunyue immediately sensed that something was wrong. You aren't Tutu, right? What Tutu? As soon as Yi finished speaking, she realized that Tutu was Xiangyi's nickname and also her livestream name. She quickly corrected herself. That's right. I'm Tutu. Fu Yunyue took a step back. Fu Zichuan said calmly, It's not her. Let's go. Even Xiaobai had a regretful expression on her face. She took off the hairband that Xiangyi had given her, and the bow that she had made herself. Yi panicked. Where are you going? But the Fu siblings did not even look at her and walked away. In the hover car, Fu Yunyue sniffled. Her eyes were red. She should have gone home. Fu Zichuan replied softly, Yes. Fu Yunyue wiped her tears and smiled widely. Then she must have met someone she likes and been liked by someone. Hey, Tutu can finally get her wish. After a long time, Fu Yunyue heard her brother's low and hoarse voice. As long as she's happy. Chapter 838. Yi didn't expect to receive such a huge blow as soon as she returned home. However, she quickly adjusted her state of mind. Even without the Fu siblings, she still had so many fans on the Star Web livestream. She logged onto the Star Web livestream, and soon received a greeting from Empire livestream, as well as a daily contract renewal. Yi naturally agreed and signed the contract for the day. The staff of Empire livestream asked politely, Tutu, what are you going to cook today? Can you spoil the show so that we can help you promote it? Yi froze for a moment. She didn't know how to cook at all. If she did, she would be exposed. Hence, she expressed that she wasn't going to cook today and was going to sing. She was going to show her face and sing. The staff on the other side was instantly excited. Tutu's face. This was an explosive event. The staff immediately applied to the higher-ups and soon, the application was approved for the best and most popular spot on the Star Web livestream. Simply put, as long as one used the Star Web livestream, they would receive a push notification from Tutu's livestream. Half an hour later, the livestream began. Yi was a little nervous as she waved at the camera. Hello everyone, I'm Tutu. What appeared on the fan screens was a face with heavy makeup. Although it was quite pretty, everyone was still a little disappointed. She was too different from the image that everyone had imagined. They had thought that Tutu was a beautiful, gentle, and indifferent girl who would still be beautiful even without makeup. However, there were too many people who liked Tutu and the pop-up comments were shocking. The fans were enthusiastically sending gifts to her. Yi was overjoyed when she saw this. She had just greeted them and the gifts she received, if converted to star coins, would be worth millions. This was even when Yin Zhongyue was not around. With her taking the lead in sending gifts, the number would probably double. Then, Yi started singing. Fans. Yi continued singing. Fans. Shut up, she's one of us. Oh my god, I'm so disillusioned with Tutu. Let's talk nicely, don't poison my ears. Empire Livestream was also dumbfounded. They didn't expect Tutu's singing to be so terrible. The loss of viewers in the livestream was simply a waste of their promotion. Not only that, during the interactive segment, Tutu's words were even more shocking. Thank you all for sending me gifts. Everyone continued, don't stop. Why do you keep asking me to cook? That's something only a chef can do. Besides, her hands are so delicate. How can she endure cooking all the time? The audience? Was such a pretentious woman really Tutu? What's more, Bunny was a ruthless person who made 100 dishes every day for more than a month. How could he not be able to endure this little bit of hardship? Thus, everyone came to a conclusion. This Tutu was a fake. The number of viewers in the live stream was getting lower and lower, and those who stayed behind were all doubtful. Did you steal Tutu's optical computer? Cook a dish to prove you're Tutu. It's a fake, right? Hee hee, you can't be Tutu. Yi never expected that she would still be doubted after returning to her own body. Panic was boundless and almost drowned her. Shivering, Yi turned off the live stream. Little did she know that this was just the beginning of her retribution. In the church in Nanchang, the girl's eyelashes fluttered and she slowly woke up, only to see familiar faces. Chapter 839. The light was a little dazzling, and she instinctively squinted. Immediately, a pair of large hands covered her forehead, covering her eyes. The tip of her nose turned sour, and she almost burst into tears. Finally, I'm back. In the interstellar world, she had been very calm and composed. She had spent a lot of effort scheming against Ling Yi and was extremely exhausted, both physically and mentally. However, she didn't cry even once. It wasn't that she didn't want to cry, but rather, she had been holding it in. After persevering for so long, she couldn't hold it in any longer the moment she saw her family. She was just using the strongest armor to disguise all her weaknesses. In fact, she would also be afraid, confused, and uneasy. Brother, Xiangyi said in a soft and nasal voice, I'm back. She tried her best to smile, but tears welled up in her eyes. Xiangyu pressed his cap down to cover his eyes. The young esports god said arrogantly and coldly, You're back. Xiangqi's eyes were red and he said fiercely, What are you crying for? You're so ugly. Xiangli touched her little head gently and said, Our Tutu, it's been hard on you. We've been waiting for you. Xiang Chen was as taciturn as ever. He said 2 words expressionlessly. He said expressionlessly, Go ahead and cry. The cold and aloof man wiped Xiangyi's face with his sleeve. His tailored suit was stained with tears and snot, but he didn't even frown. Xiangyi noticed that Xiangyu, who had always been dressed in a formal suit and leather shoes, had long been wrinkled. Even his tie was loosely tied. He wasn't the only one. The others were also in a much more disheveled state than usual. Xiangyi immediately cried even harder. The girl's shoulders shook, as if she was about to cry all the tears she had in her life. Xiang Feng wailed too. Little Xiangyi, you've suffered. Little Shiji silently distanced herself from her ex-husband. Xiao Naofu jumped into Xiangyi's arms and meowed, its icy blue eyes full of tears. Stupid woman. You're finally back. This Huhu was worried to death. Xiangyi hugged the kitten tightly and smiled through her tears. Why have you lost weight? Your stomach is so flat. I'll make you cat food when we get back. Cough, tiger food. Everyone. How was this fat cat skinny? Xiao Naofu obediently rubbed its head against Xiangyi's collarbone, then jumped to the ground. It strode over to Xiangyu's feet with its proud and noble cat-like steps, and meowed in a cute and coquettish manner. Xiangyu. It acted coquettishly towards me. Xiangyu, the furry maniac, picked up Xiao Naofu at lightning speed and instantly transformed from a cold and aloof person into a chatterbox. Is our Fufu hungry? Do you want to drink milk? Can you eat some dried fish first? If you don't like it, I'll buy you something else, okay? Little Shiji. It turned out that I wasn't the only bootlicker. Xiang Yu carried Xiao Naofu to look for food while Xiang Qi, Xiang Li, and Sang Chen also found excuses to leave, not forgetting to drag Xiang Yu away with them. Xiang Feng was still struggling desperately. Don't stop me. I want to hug little Xiangyi. I want to give her the warmth of a family member. Sang Chen glanced at him coldly. Xiang Feng was obedient. In the church, Xiangyi and the man who was shielding her from the light were the only ones left. Xiangyi looked up and made eye contact with Shui's handsome face. The man's eyes were bloodshot, and there was green stubble on his smooth jawline. His voice was hoarse from the tobacco smoke, and he said in a low and gentle voice, "Sister E, welcome home." Chapter 840. Xiangyi's tears were about to burst out again. Fortunately, both she and Shui were good at controlling their emotions. Even if they were overwhelmed with emotions, they could still appear calm. "Yes, I'm back. Long time no see." After saying that, Xiangyi thought of something. "What's the date today?" Shui gave her a date. Xiangyi was slightly stunned at first. Then she heaved a sigh of relief. "That's great, that's really great." The flow of time in the two worlds was different. She was so glad that she was in the fast world, while Shui and her brother were in the slow world. Shui sensed that something was wrong. He narrowed his eyes and asked, "How long have you been there?" Xiangyi wanted to skip this question and change the topic. Shui didn't ask much. He just stared at her, as if he wouldn't look away if she didn't give him an answer. In the end, Xiangyi was defeated. She said softly, "More than a month, huh?" Unexpectedly, Shui put his arm around the girl's slender waist and pulled her into his arms. Xiangyi's face was pressed against his chest. His heartbeat was clear and strong. It was a little fast. What's wrong?" Shui said hoarsely. "I'd rather be the one who spent more than a month with you." There was silence in the church. Xiangyi looked up. Her eyes were as red as a rabbit's, but she still comforted Shui. "I'm fine really." She tiptoed and kissed Shui's chin. She was so obedient and soft. Shui looked at her without blinking. He suddenly tightened his grip on her waist. His tall figure loomed over her, not allowing her to escape. Xiangyi didn't escape. Instead, she hugged his waist. In the manor, in the director's room, Li Jinyu paced back and forth. What's going on? Is Sister E really possessed? That day, Shui had only asked him and Ruan Qing to help with the acting. She hadn't said anything else. Even though Li Jinyu boasted that he had watched countless horror movies, he was naturally easily frightened. When he saw Xiang Yi, who was like a completely different person, he was still frightened. Ruan Qing's guess was deeper than his. She thought of the amnesia incident back then, and felt that Xiangyi might have lost her memory again, and her body might have been taken over by another personality. After all, the matter of transmigration was simply too unimaginable. A staff member rushed in. "Director Li, Sister Ruan, you're back. Sister E is back." "What did you say?" Li Jinyu retorted. His body reacted faster than his mouth as he strode out. Ruan Qing followed closely behind. Not only the two of them, but all the staff members in the production crew also rushed to the entrance to welcome Xiangyi. When they saw that the little girl was safe and sound beside the car, many people cheered. Quick, Sister E is back. Sister E, how are you feeling?" "Sister E, you've lost weight. You have to eat more to nourish your body." A group of people surrounded Xiangyi and talked at once, showing concern for the little girl. Xiangyi smiled faintly and said, "I've made everyone worry. I'm fine." Okay, all of you make way. You're all surrounding her so tightly that Sister E probably can't breathe fresh air." Everyone awkwardly made way. Li Jinyu pushed through the crowd and threw himself into Shui's arms. Shui, ? Xiangyi, ? Li Jinyu said. "Boo-hoo, I want to hug Sister E, but I don't think it's appropriate. Then I can only hug Sister Yi's man." Ruan Qing, on the other hand, didn't have such concerns. She gave Xiangyi a big hug like a warm and intelligent big sister. "You're back, Sister E." Chapter 841. Xiangyi nodded obediently and couldn't help but rub her head against Ruanqing's shoulder. Brother Yi, you're finally awake. That's great, that's great. Zhou Yan exclaimed in joy. He trotted towards Xiang Yi, followed by Su Rendong's striding figure. The two of them had postponed all their appointments in the short term in order to wait for Xiang Yi to wake up. Xiang Yi chatted with them for a while, and after Zhou Yan and Su Rendong confirmed that Xiang Yi had recovered, they left. Zhou Yan stuck his head out of the car window and said, "Thank you for introducing us to the doctor, Brother Yi." In addition to the psychiatrist that she introduced to Su Rendong, Xiang Yi also helped him make an appointment with a top-ear doctor. He owed her a huge favor. Xiang Yi said gently, "You guys have to cooperate with the doctor and get well soon." Zhou Yan grinned. He didn't look like a legendary singer at all. Instead, he looked a little silly. "Brother Yi, I'll come to you again if I'm hungry for 3 days." Su Rendong pursed his lips. Although he had already sprayed the car with disinfectant spray, he still felt a little uncomfortable. He said, "See you later." Xiang Yi said, "Have a safe trip, come by often in the future." As the car gradually drove away, their friendship quietly lasted forever. In the living room, Xiang Yi learned that the fans of Two Under One Roof had been waiting under the official Weibo account for several days, so she took the initiative to ask the production team to start a live stream. If it were any other director, they would definitely be eager to start a live stream to make money. However, the style of Two Under One Roof was like this. Li Jinyu said, "Don't start it, get some rest today." Xiang Yi said, "I want to explain to the fans, don't let them worry about me." Li Jinyu said, "Okay, we'll do as you say, but we can only do it for an hour." Ruanqing said, "Half an hour, 1 hour is too long." The cameraman Old Zhang said, Yes, we can't tire Sister Yi out." The others also chimed in, all of them doting on Xiang Yi. She was really loved by everyone. After the staff adjusted the equipment, Ruanqing used her official Weibo account to post the news of the upcoming livestream. The fans below were all in an uproar. Is Sister Yi awake? How is our baby? Will Izai appear on screen? I'm so worried that I'm crying QQ. The moment the livestream started, countless viewers flooded in. The camera shook twice and successfully focused on the two people sitting side by side on the sofa. Shui changed into a clean white cotton shirt with a simple gray t-shirt inside. Xiang Yi was wearing a white dress made of the same material. The hem of the dress was a lotus leaf design, which made the girl's calves look fair and delicate. Whether it was the color scheme or the material, they all formed a harmonious harmony. In the live stream, "That's great, Sister E is fine. Couple outfits." "It's a couple outfit. Same model please." To the people in front, "Wake up. This design is obviously the work of Hades. It's probably one of a kind in the world." Xiang Yi raised her left hand and waved. "Hello everyone, I'm Xiang Yi." The moment she put down her hand, Shui naturally held her little hand and held it tightly in her palm. She acted affectionately as if no one else was around. The tips of Xiang Yi's ears turned slightly red, and she explained to everyone in a gentle voice that her body was no longer in danger. "Thank you for your concern, everyone. I'll take good care of myself." In the next second, she suddenly felt a weight on her shoulder. She turned her little face to the side, only to find that Shui had fallen asleep on her shoulder. His eyelashes were thick and long, casting a faint shadow over his eyes. Holding her hand, he did not let go of her hand even a little bit. Chapter 842. Is he too tired? Xiang Yi thought to herself. Shui had been sleepless for several days in a row, so he was really tired now. He rarely relaxed in front of others. Xiang Yi was the only exception. Xiang Yi remained seated and carefully helped Shui adjust his position so that he could sleep more comfortably. The girl put the microphone close to her mouth and lowered her voice. "Does anyone have any questions?" In the live stream, fans of the untimely couple repeatedly died. I'm done. This is too sweet. Untimely couple. Beautiful love. What a perfect couple. Let's get married on the spot." Sister E, thank you for your concern. We will be holding our wedding in a few days. Welcome everyone. In addition to the fans of the untimely couple, Many people also asked Xiangyi questions. The usual questions were about her interests and hobbies, the recipe of a certain dish, but there were also unusual questions such as the solution to math problems, pet poop picker strategies, and divination. Xiangyi replied to as many people as she could. No matter how outrageous the questions were, the girl would answer them seriously. When she encountered questions that she didn't know how to answer, she would apologize to the audience and leave a good impression on them. It was almost time. Xiangyi wanted to answer more questions, but Li Jinyu said, "Okay, time's up. Sister E, you should get some rest. I'll answer one more question, just one." The girl raised a finger and said in a soft voice, as if she was acting coquettishly, "Ah, who can stand this?" Father Fan Li Jinyu could stand it. He sternly refused Xiangyi's request. "I'll turn off the live stream right away. Now go to sleep with Shui." Beside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the Xiang brothers, who were too lazy to enter the live stream, cast cold glares at them one after another. In the live stream, all the viewers were spammed with comments such as, "Well done, son," and "Director Li is in danger, danger, danger." Li Jinyu wanted to cry but had no tears. "No, I mean both of you should go to sleep. It's just a literal meaning. Sister E, please don't misinterpret it." Xiangyi nodded. In order not to disturb Shui, she carefully leaned against the sofa, closed her eyes, and fell asleep smoothly. In the blink of an eye, the little girl's breathing was even and shallow. She had actually fallen asleep. In fact, Xiangyi was just forcing herself to stay awake. Over the past month, she had spent a lot of effort in the game, and her mind had been very tense. Now that she was in front of Shui and her family, she could finally let down her guard and fall asleep peacefully. Li Jinyu cut off the livestream right when Xiangyi and Shui fell asleep. Thus, on this day, a few strange trending topics appeared. #sleep together, #, literally sleeping, #, round up how old is the child, #. Of course, other than the fact that they were a couple, Xiangyi once again gained countless fans in just half an hour of interaction. The girl's IQ and EQ were impeccable. Even Sister Shui had a big fan of hers, who posted sentimental essays. "Time doesn't age, but Shui doesn't give up v. All this time, I've been resistant to the idea of Shui being in a relationship. It's that kind of feeling. You know that Xiangyi is very good. You know that she's fair-skinned, rich, and beautiful, but you still can't accept her. Some people say that you're jealous. I say that I'm worried. I'm worried that such a good person like him will fall in love with her. I'm worried that such a good person like him will give more than he gets. But today, I'm finally relieved. Except for Sister Shui, in this world, the only person who likes and cares about Shui is, there's already Sister E. Red Heart. Chapter 843. This big fan's words resonated with many of the Shui sisters. Yes, they didn't dislike Xiangyi. That feeling was probably similar to hearing their parents talk about other people's children. They acknowledged her excellence, but there was also a subtle resistance. However, gradually, that resistance seemed to have disappeared. The reason why they had changed their opinion of Xiangyi was not just because of the small fact that she let Shui lean on her shoulder today. Instead, it was because of the subtle recognition that had accumulated over time. They finally understood that the relationship between Xiangyi and Shui had never been one-sided. Neither of them was dependent on the other. On this day, Shui sisters, who had always been arrogant, publicly expressed that they were barely able to make do with Xiangyi. They thought that Xiangyi was not bad. The Spicy Tutu sisters were speechless. It was quite sudden. However, the Spicy Tutu sisters didn't take this matter to heart. They did whatever they wanted and went to watch the videos of Sister E cooking, gardening, playing the zither, treating illnesses, and drawing talismans. The Shui sisters were speechless. Hey, we don't care about our pride anymore. Aren't you going to welcome us? Damn it. If you continue to talk to the Spicy Tutu sisters, we will never eat spicy rabbit heads again. Wait a minute. Xiangyi's birthday is coming soon? Seeing that the Spicy Tutu sisters were still acting as if nothing had happened, the Shui sisters broke their vow and earnestly reminded them on #SpicyTutu Super Chat. Your Tutu's birthday is coming soon. The spicy Tutu sisters' reaction was, "Oh?" The Shui sisters were speechless. "Don't you look at the personal information of your artists?" They tried to impart their valuable support experience to the spicy Tutu sisters. For example, they could buy advertising spots in squares, subways, and public buses. For example, they could do public welfare, repair roads, repair elementary schools, plant trees, and rescue stray cats. Another example would be endorsements, buying clothes, hand sanitizer, noodles, and snail powder. The spicy Tutu sisters replied calmly, "A waste of money. Illegal fundraising. Can you buy it?" The Shui sisters were speechless. "That hurts." Xiangyi slept all the way until evening. When he woke up, his whole body felt refreshed after a good night's sleep. Shui was sitting next to her, reading the script in her hands. She seemed to have sensed her gaze and turned to look at her. Xiangyi rubbed her eyes, wiped the corners of her mouth, and combed her hair in a flurry. Because she had just woken up, her movements were slow by half a beat, making her look adorable. "Where are my brothers?" Xiangyi asked. The corners of Shui's lips curled up as he pinched her little face. "They left." The light in Xiangyi's eyes dimmed. "Did that do something again? Do they hate me again?" The girl's voice was a little nasal, but she pretended to be indifferent. "Don't overthink it. TSK, I promise to keep it a secret," Shui said. "They went to the old mansion to prepare for your birthday celebration, and the staff members are also there. There should be a live broadcast." Xiangyi covered his mouth. "You didn't say anything, so you didn't go against your principles." Shui chuckled softly, a gentle smile on her face. "It's okay. Others can't do it, but Sister E is different. In front of Sister E, I can go against my principles." Xiangyi felt her ears start to burn again. She pinched them gently with her fingertips and suddenly thought of something. "Then tonight, are we the only two left at home?" Chapter 844. The sound of running water could be heard from the bathroom. Xiangyi sat on the tatami beside the floor-to-ceiling window. Her head was so hot that it was about to emit smoke. She was nervously tugging at the bunny ears of her stuffed toy. Thinking about the conversation in the past 2 hours, her ears turned even redder in embarrassment. "Then tonight, are we the only ones left at home?" Shui replied with a faint as if he did not think much of it. "What do you want to eat? I'll make it." "Anything, anything." They had a simple dinner, watched a movie, and drank some wine. Then, he pretended to be drunk and dragged her back to his room. Xiangyi took a deep breath and told herself not to think about the content of the manga that Fu Yunhua showed her. She was not nervous. She was not nervous. Creak. The bathroom door was pulled open. Xiangyi's first reaction was to hide under the coffee table. Fortunately, her rationality came online in time, and she did not do anything embarrassing. She struggled for a long time before coming up with the wording. "Well, I don't think I'm that drunk. Why don't you go back?" When she saw Shui's appearance, the latter half of her sentence was instantly stuck. Unlike the restrained and abstinent style of pajamas in the past, Shui was only wearing a pair of gray sweatpants today. The belt hung loosely, looking lazy and wanton. Looking up, it was a perfect and superior figure. His shoulders and back were broad, but his muscles were not exaggerated. His cold and fair abs were distinct, and 2 distinct V-lines snaked into his sweatpants. He held a towel with one hand to dry his hair, as if he did not hear Xiangyi's words. What did you say?" Xiangyi's milky white face was super serious. "I said I drank too much." Shui chuckled softly, looking so charming and flirtatious. His little bunny, why was she so cute? Xiangyi continued to be super serious. "I'm also drunk, very drunk, the kind that will go crazy." Shui raised his eyebrows, his expression languid and leisurely as he drawled. "It's okay, I'll let you trample on me." Whoosh! This time Xiangyi couldn't take it anymore. She buried her head under the coffee table. Letting her do whatever she wanted to him was just too embarrassing. By the time Shui dug a certain little rabbit out from under the table, the girl's ears had already turned red all the way to her fair neck. "Why is your face so red? Do you have a headache?" "It's still all right." The two of them were so close that she could smell the sweet orange scent of Shui. Thump, thump, Xiangyi swallowed her saliva, and her mind involuntarily started to wander off to the manga that Fu Yunhua had given her. Not wearing clothes. Cough. She only went to take a look at the Liao out of the spirit of scientific research. I heard that exercise can promote alcohol metabolism. I'll dry your hair for you. The buzzing sound of the hairdryer rang in the room. Xiangyi's movements were gentle. She deliberately moved the hairdryer further away and carefully blew Shui's hair. The man's hair was short, and he blew it dry quickly. It's done. Xiangyi turned around to put the hairdryer in. A pair of large hands grabbed her slender wrists from behind. Tutu. The same two words, but when Shui said them, the feeling was different from when her brothers said them. You finished metabolizing the alcohol? Xiangyi didn't even have time to reply before she heard the man's mocking voice again. Aren't you going to go crazy? Big brother is waiting for you. The girl lost her usual calmness and was embarrassed. I don't know how to. Shui gently kneaded the soft flesh at the back of her neck. Be good, big brother will teach you. Chapter 845. Xiangyi's eyelashes fluttered twice, and she asked in confusion, Can this be taught? The moment she finished speaking, the pair of big hands on the back of her neck moved down along her spine. Like small electric current flowers, they exploded at her nerve endings. Ugh! The girl didn't hold the hairdryer firmly in her hand, and it accidentally fell on the soft carpet. But no one cared. Xiangyi suddenly chickened out. I don't want to learn. Unfortunately, it was too late. The black-bellied wolf removed the disguise of abstinence, squinted his eyes, and swung the big tail behind him in satisfaction. The little rabbit was firmly held in his arms in an extremely domineering and possessive posture. The warm breath wrapped around the tip of her ear, spreading down little by little. The touch was wonderful and tugging at her heartstrings. Xiangyi's slender shoulders trembled slightly. You don't seem to be teaching it right. For example, her little uncle liked to climb trees when he was drunk. Her fourth brother liked to hug and kiss furry toys when he was drunk. And her third brother would crazily act coquettishly when he was drunk. Asking to be hugged and lifted high. Shui's drunken teaching was very wrong. Silly rabbit. The man's throat overflowed with a low chuckle, and his thin lips pressed against the girl's red collarbone. Big brother lied to you. Don't be afraid. The man's coaxing voice was husky, like a feather tickling the tip of her heart. Both of their breaths became hot. At this moment, the phone suddenly rang. Shui glanced at it, and saw that the caller ID was Xiangfeng, so she directly hung up. Just as she was about to continue drunken madness with the little rabbit, the phone began to buzz and vibrate nonstop. Shui's temples faintly twitched, and she used the last of her patience to look at the screen. Feng de ji de li, Sui. Are you there? Feng de ji de li. Urgent, urgent, urgent. It's very urgent. Shui frowned. After all, they were good friends for many years, and she was worried that something had happened to him. So she replied with a question mark. Xiangfeng sent a voice message that was dozens of seconds long. Sui. I thought of a great gift idea. On little Xiangyi's birthday, I'll prepare a huge gift box for her. Then I'll lie inside it. When she opens the gift, she'll see me inside. Aren't you surprised? That wasn't the end of it. I was going to pretend to be dead inside and scare her into crying. Then, I would sit up and make her smile through her tears, making her even happier. What do you think? Isn't it wonderful? After waiting for a long time, Xiangfeng didn't receive a reply, so he sent an emoji over in confusion. A notification popped up on the screen. Shui from Tutu's family has activated friend verification. You're not her friend yet. Send a friend verification request first. You can only chat after the other party accepts the request. Xiangfeng. What did he do wrong? Why did he have to be so heartless to him? The atmosphere was interrupted. Shui hesitated, wondering if she should let it go. Who would have thought? Xiangyi poked his arm. Her voice was soft and trembling slightly. Don't you want to continue? Like a fuse of turbulent emotions, Shui's Adam's apple bobbed. He lifted the hair on the girl's cheek and tucked it behind her ear. Her jet black hair twined and loosened around his fingertips. It was a warm and ambiguous action. Their eyes met, and they moved closer bit by bit. Suddenly, there was a series of scratching sounds on the door, accompanied by Xiao Naofu's anxious cries. Shui, ignore it. Xiangyi hesitated, but she pushed Shui away. I'll go see if it's hungry. Shui. Very good, the sterilization plan can be restarted. Smiley face. Chapter 846. Xiangyi quickly opened the door, while Xiao Naofu scurried towards her. What's the matter? Xiangyi squatted down and picked up the kitten. Xiao Naofu sobbed aggrievedly and used its meaty little paw to point at the location of the cat villa. Xiangyi immediately sensed that something was amiss. Little Shiji, who had always been inseparable from Xiao Naofu, was nowhere to be seen. She walked over and saw a tablet in little Shiji's nest. She vaguely had a hunch. The screen lit up to see that there was an edited letter on it. The letter was divided into 3 parts. To Sister E, thank you, Sister E, for taking care of me these past few days. The food you cook is really delicious. It's the most delicious food I've ever eaten in all the worlds I've transmigrated to. To Shui, there's nothing much to say. Don't bully Xiao Naofu, I'll protect it. To Xiao Naofu, by the time you read this letter, I should have already left. Don't be sad, I left because my mission has been completed. I'll come back to look for you when I go back to deal with some matters. By the way, the main system said that your reincarnation failed because of Ling Ye's interference, and it will compensate you soon. While I'm away, you have to eat well and drink milk well. Don't always steal canned food and dried fish. You have to sleep in the nest, and cover yourself well with the blanket. You can sleep anywhere you want in my nest, it's very clean. By the way, if you miss me, you can look at #WesternSuited Couples posts. There are photos and videos of us together. It's okay if you don't miss me. Goodbye, Xiao Naofu. After reading it, Xiangyi sighed. Although she knew that this day would come sooner or later, she felt a little melancholic. Xiao Naofu nestled in her arms and quietly wiped its tears. Xiangyi forced herself to cheer up and comforted Xiao Naofu. We have to believe in little Shiji. It will definitely come back, and we'll be able to see each other then. Xiao Naofu, meow meow. What if little Shiji doesn't come back? Who else can it bully? Who else would be willing to be bullied by it? The more Xiao Naofu thought about it, the more upset he felt. He sobbed and cried nonstop. Xiangyi was affected by it, and her eyes also turned red. She packed up little Shiji's bowl and toys and placed them in a cardboard box, after which she wrote little Shiji on it. When little Shiji comes back, shall we open the box together? Xiao Naofu wept and nodded. The top of its head was suddenly rubbed twice by a warm hand. Xiao Naofu smelled the familiar scent of a dog-like man, and its fur instantly exploded. However, the D*MN man didn't talk about sterilization or cat meat hot pot today. Instead, he gently coaxed her. Kitty, I won't bully you anymore. Xiao Naofu's ears perked up. Really? Suddenly, she didn't feel so sad anymore, Shui said calmly. You're already a grown-up kitten, so you have to learn to be mature, independent, and strong. However, that's definitely nothing to Xiao Naofu. You're the most mature, independent, and strong, aren't you? Xiao Naofu felt giddy after hearing the D*MN man's words, as if it had drunk a few kilograms of fake alcohol. It raised its chin and meowed proudly. Humph, I'm just that outstanding. In the next second, the D*MN man grabbed the back of its neck mercilessly and threw it into the cat mansion. Kata. The door of the cage was locked. Good night, little Shiji. Xiao Naofu? Damn you, D*MN man. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.